Hello everyone, Maryann here, revealing light, tarot, astrology and spirituality. Wherever you are in the world when you're watching this, a huge shout out to you. Thank you for joining me today. I'm going to be looking at Pluto moving into Aquarius. This is going to occur on the 20th of January, 21st of January, wherever you are in the world. It'll be around those days, depending on your time zone. The 20th of January 2024. Now, Pluto's been sitting in Capricorn, moved briefly into Aquarius last year, and for a couple of months, and we'll talk about that a bit later. But this is a huge shift. Every time that Pluto changes signs, we get this shifting of the energy. And so Pluto in Capricorn, when Pluto moved into Capricorn, I think it was around 2008, we had the collapse of the banking system in America and the tiered levels of banking, which of course brought forward regulation under the Obama presidency, which of course Trump watered down during his time. So we can expect major change when Pluto moves from Capricorn, very much about structures, authority, systems of government, for example, can be also bringing forward the corruption of wealth and highlighting the disparity between the multi-billionaires, the 1% of those, and of course those of us who are paying mortgages and battling with the high and rising cost of goods. It's also about government imposing its will, or can be its will or its system, onto the individual. So the big shift that we're looking at coming up certainly begins in 2024 and then more fully in 2025 is about Pluto moving from Capricorn into Aquarius. So Pluto is known as the Great Transformer. And as I said, when it moves from sign to sign, we're looking at really great change. So Pluto, as I said, can expose corruption, as it is about power, mystery, the shadow side, secrets, what is hidden. Pluto, of course, is associated with death and rebirth, and also the underworld, the subterranean levels, what is hidden from us. Moving from Capricorn into Aquarius, what's Aquarius all about? Well, Aquarius is about innovation. It's about wanting the best for humanity to progress. It's about the collective, the groups, the communities, the networks. And so Pluto moving into Capricorn, from Capricorn into Aquarius, is almost like government returned to the people, government about the people, government for the people. So let's pull up the chart. I've set it over Washington, D.C. in America. Don't be perturbed by that. The only thing that will change in your area is what houses each of the planets are in. The aspects, the squares, the red, the conflicts, the oppositions, and the blue, the harmonious flows. They'll be the same if you were located in Australia or in the UK, wherever you are in the world. The thing that will change for your location will be which houses each of the planets are in. But anyway, let's look at this Washington, D.C. chart. Let's call it up. Okay, here we go. All right, I hope everybody can see that and can see me. So last year, briefly, Pluto moved into Aquarius from March to June in 2023. So think back to what occurred in those months for you. What happened then could be a good indication of what might shift more fully in jet later this month in January. So now with Pluto moving into Aquarius, this is virtually a lifetime event for us. None of us will see this again as Pluto moves into Aquarius. It's a once in a lifetime event. The last time, just to illustrate that, the last time Pluto was in Aquarius from 1777 to 1798. Think about the massive change that occurred back then. The American Revolution, remember? People power, the American Revolution, the French Revolution, the Industrial Revolution, progress, people power and progress. So now into Aquarius in 2024. What are some of the themes that we're likely to see? Well, advances in technology, advances in data, the way that the information that we gather, the information that we disseminate to the collective, scientific progress, scientific breakthroughs, power systems, anything, the systems of power are changing. And I'll talk about that more fully, but I do want to say that many of us are, I'm just going to say, waking up to the reality of what we see in our world today, where indiscriminate bombing, occupation, territorial wars are the norm, where dictatorship is thriving, where extremism is blotting out rational thinking, where the truth is not the truth anymore, even if you see it for your own eyes. And I'm talking about the January the 6th insurrection in America. Many now are saying it was just a walk in the park, even though all of us saw the same evidence. So Aquarius is about the collective. And Pluto in Aquarius, once it moves more fully in 2025, will be in Aquarius until 2044. And this will mark a period of huge change in our societies. Social norms and ideologies are likely to change. And Pluto will also demand the best of us as a collective. You've heard me saying that sometimes I feel the collective is almost, ill in a way. And I'll talk about that. Certainly our relationships, the way we relate to one another, has been fraught in the last, with the advent of social media. So what type of issues are likely to come up under this people power theme as Pluto moves into Aquarius? Well, you can expect the collective to demand action on, in America, things like gun violence, pro-choice, not taking the choice away, whether that is around women's rights or any other rights, not taking choice and freedoms away from the people. You can expect collective action on climate change. For those that haven't seen my Psychic Predictions, Global Psychic Predictions Part 2, I read on climate change, and there's a huge amount of deception around climate change, deception and denial. But the people will be walking, protesting. You can expect 2024 to be a year of protest. There's going to be, people want an emphasis on negotiation, not blowing Gaza to smithereens, for example. We can now dialogue about that. We can now talk about that. Though many have suffered the consequences of speaking out against war in all its forms, wherever it is. Many are looking for peaceful negotiations, which actually happen around issues before it gets to the problems that we're seeing in the world today. So people power. Where governments aren't serving the needs of the people, you can expect great change. In fact, there are many, many elections globally in 2024. South Africa, for example. Many. Expect secrets to be revealed. Remember that Pluto in Aquarius will not only expose the corruption, but also wants humanity to progress. So expect, particularly I feel intuitively in the first part of the year, expect huge secrets to be revealed that have been dormant, buried, remember? Buried for decades. And I think about Epstein. I feel there's more to come on the Epstein revelations. Justice for the people is going to be a big theme. And it's going to be about the majority. So the minority can make a huge amount of noise. They can do whatever they want. But in the end, this will be about majority rule. And those who are thinking of extremism in any form need to understand that at the end of the day, the majority will have its will. We're also looking at this. Pluto in Capricorn marked huge rise in wealth of the techno billionaires. The Koch brothers, whoever. And then how was that wealth used? How was that wealth used to manipulate the collective in any way? We're going to be looking at wealth distribution. Am I getting a fair day's pay for what I do? What value do I have? And so this wealth distribution, the gap between the very, very wealthy and those that really work hard for a fair day's pay, supposedly, that's going to be highlighted as well. Let's look back to when Pluto moved into Aquarius briefly in the middle of last year. This, just before it did, we had the collapse of the Silicon Bank in America. I'm not saying that major banks are going to collapse. I'm just going to say that where there's been corruption and an abuse of the collective, in whatever way that is, you can expect huge revelations in 2020. So the last time, as I said, Pluto was in Aquarius, 1777 to 1798, those major people-powered revolutions, industrial revolution, major progress. And we can expect these similar sorts of themes to be coming through here. Some of these Aquarian themes might involve innovation in all its forms. Humanity's higher self, the power of humanity's higher self. And this is where we will see those of us who have been languishing in a little bit of despair. This is where we will see movements, people voting with their feet. A push for society to progress, not regress. So anything that takes us backward is not going to be tolerated. We can expect major technological breakthroughs. I talked about some of those in my annual predictions. I talked about sound and healing. I'd never really even thought about that before. It just came as I saw someone with a computer and a keyboard. Clairvoyantly. One of my viewers sent me an article notifying me that the FDA had just approved sound therapy to treat liver cancer. We're going to see more of that, more of the major technological breakthroughs. I talked about predictions, more accurate predictions of where there's going to be a natural disaster. And we're also going to see AI development in all its forms, and we're rushing now to regulate. We should have been regulating 5-10 years ago. There's huge issues around AI, but I'll tackle those in a separate reading. So Pluto, no doubt about it, will give us this deep dive around what is good for the collective and also what is bad for the collective. It will give us exposure of secrets. Community will become important, more and more important as we move through this cycle until 2044. Communities coming together to action and progress things for themselves, not relying so much on big government. There are big shifts coming this year. Pluto is the planet, as I said, of death and rebirth. So you can expect change. You can expect change, you can expect progress, and you can expect exposure, those things that are buried to come to the surface. Pluto wants society, humanity, to progress, not regress. So there is a regression back into Capricorn this year on June the 11th, unfortunately. And we may see the old structures rear their heads, the old paradigms, timelines briefly come into our view again. And unfortunately, that regression is from June the 11th to the 19th of November. And that is around the USA general election, which is held at the beginning of November. So we can expect turmoil around those elections. But stay strong, because after 19th of November, Pluto moves back into Aquarius for good until 1944. 1944, wow. That was nearly the end of the war. That's interesting. Freudian slip, 2024. Let's take a closer look at this chart. You'll see, well, as always, I start with the amount of squares, red lines, squares, and oppositions. There are a lot of them. Don't expect this year to be easy. It's not going to be, but you will feel a shift, because this is something that we're going to be aspiring to. And you inspire and aspire when in periods of great turmoil, periods where the learning is crystallized, the focus is crystallized, and we start to move forward toward a better society for everyone. So conflicts, lots of challenges, but also lots of achievements this year. The blue lines are the harmonious flows, the trines and the sextiles. That's probably where I should start. Let's start with the good news. All right, just briefly, this chart. Okay, so what are we seeing here? Now, this down here is Pluto and the Sun, and they are conjunct, and that's known as a cazimi. That's very rare also. So they're coming together as Pluto moves into Aquarius, so is the Sun there moving into Aquarius. Very, very potent. We could expect, with that exact conjunction, we could expect something major to be revealed at the end of January, or from January 20th onwards. Major, because the Sun is about light. Pluto is about darkness. The Sun is the center of our solar system, and it will shine its light on something major, that or alternatively a major breakthrough. But we can expect something huge, I think, to happen from the 20th onwards, around the end of January. Okay, so over Washington, this is in the 5th house of self-expression. Also, there is Mars and Mercury in Capricorn. So action on communication, expressing, self-expression, creativity as well. I know that's not something we often associate with politics, unfortunately. But I think we will be seeing some, I think, corruption coming to light in our governments, in past governments perhaps. A huge theme in this chart is the South Node in Libra. And it's in the second house over Washington of money, finance. The South Node is justice. It's what also has happened in the past. So there's a big theme about what's happened in the past and justice, and finishing that, finishing the chapter once and for all. And we see the North Node here in this Washington chart in the 8th house of endings and new beginnings. And it is conjunct Chiron, the wounded healer. So what has happened in the past? We're focused on the past. Remember what happened in that Capricornian age, if I want to just put it like that, as Pluto then became very, very potent on the 29th. I've lost count of the revelations that have emerged in the past 2 or 3 months. It's hard to keep up with the indictments of the former president. We found out so much about him and about what he did in his presidency. We've also found out some perhaps unpalatable things around Netanyahu, governments supporting Netanyahu's, I'm going to say, alleged genocide. He's currently Israel is currently under his leadership, currently before the International Court of Justice. South Africa is bringing a case for genocide in Gaza. I've no need to debate this. I've no need to talk about as individually what has happened in Gaza, separate from the atrocity and brutality of Hamas. I've no need to even mention that, because we have all seen with our own eyes the indiscriminate bombing and razzing of Gaza, with those extremely high death tolls, children maimed. I won't even go into it. It's far, far too distressing for myself and for others. What is happening in the Middle East is not an isolated incident. This has been a product of I'm just going to say, the way that Israel and the Palestinians have been existing, and what has happened through that has brought us to this point, this tipping point. There is a huge wound here that needs to be healed, and we have the North Node in that 8th house over Washington. The US has played a huge role. And I must say, I am pleased to hear the current president of the United States say, I have been working quietly in the background to get Israel out, to stop the indiscriminate bombing and killing of innocent civilians, and to get Israel out of Gaza. I'm so pleased to see that. Okay, so what else have we got here? This Jupiter and Uranus, well, it's not quite a conjunction yet, but it will be. That's up in the 9th house. Over Washington, I just want to be blunt here and say this. There are advances in our learning. There are advances in our, education is seen as a dirty word these days, and it's not. It's about learning. It's about taking that beautiful, big book of knowledge times however many, and learning from others and stimulating the intellectual thought within yourself. Well, Uranus and Jupiter are up in that 9th house. And they are certainly Jupiter, the planet of expansion, is trining. What have we got down here to Mars? So huge leaps and bounds and self-direction in our learning. I said that in my global predictions, that many of us can't see what's happening at the grassroots level. But I would suggest to you that there is learning going on here, and learning about our politics. We have to learn that, because we need to be self-directed. We can't bury our heads in the sand. Pluto is trining the moon and the midheaven in Gemini. Again, the accent being on learning and communication in all its forms. Very, very much about revelations around government. And as this chart is cast over Washington, then this is revelations around government and how they work for the people. I want to go back. Jupiter, again, the big planet of expansion, is trining Saturn in Pisces in the 7th house. So the change will benefit our, I'm just going to say, our gut knowing. Many of us can't turn away from what we see now, the instability and disunity and polarization that we see now. And in this 7th house over Washington, this is about relationships, partnerships with others, and also open enemies. Why is that not surprising? Saturn in Pisces, putting some structure around the fantasy world, the conspiracy world. Governments have to be able to govern. They can't be there to wage unending cultural wars. They have to actually do things for the people. And this symbol here is Hygeia, the goddess, the asteroid of health or ill health. And that is sandwiched in here with Neptune in Pisces. Neptune in Pisces, very difficult. The boundaries are blurred and it can go either way. What are you bringing into form? Are you bringing something that is not healthy or something that is? And of course, Saturn here is forcing us all to look at that. What are we bringing into form? This chart is not easy or simple. We all have to question ourselves. The moon in Gemini. Moon is volatility. It can also be the mother. And it is sitting here with Vesta, the home and hearth, in the 10th house. Many of us are waking up to the volatility that is potentially there for us if we don't participate, if we don't use our voice. Democracies work best when we do use our voice. Venus in Sagittarius, down here in the 4th house over Washington. But wherever you're located, Venus is conjunct Ceres, the planet of the goddess of abundance, the asteroid of abundance, in Sagittarius. How do we want our society to look? How do we want our country to be? What do we aspire for? Do we aspire for more of the same, or do we aspire for something new? These are important questions going forward for all of us, no matter which side of the aisle you happen to come down on. More and more of us are moving toward a temperate, more moderate position that is inclusive. or as inclusive as it can be of the collective. Understanding that democracies work best. And yes, democracy is a beautiful word. Democracies work best when there is a variety of views, opinions, when the individual who is part of the group is allowed to bring forth their creativity, their visions, their experience, their representation of their electorate. Now, I said in, I forget which, might have been the Global Predictions Part 1, if you haven't seen them, I talked about there being a win in the US in 2024 for the Democrats. And many said, well, how can that be? President Biden in the polls is tanking. Well, I said in that reading that people will vote for good grassroots candidates. Not those that are going to election deny, not those that are going to bring down the republic, not those who can't govern because they're locked into inane, ridiculous cultural wars, wherever the chips may fall. They'll be voting for good grassroots candidates, not so much for the leaders of each party. Of course, they will take that into consideration. But if they've got a good representative, remember, this is about people power. If they've got a good candidate, they'll vote for them. And on this occasion, the people, very much because of women fighting for their rights, in some cases their lives, and young people who want progress, not regression, will bring forward that victory for the current president. All right, I'm going to look at just a couple of issues before I break off and do a general Pluto into Aquarius reading. So the questions that I want to look at is, let's look at the former president on 91 indictments. I've lost count of the people that come on and say he's never been charged. He's never been indicted. You're making that up. They're getting confused between indictment and conviction. And so that is the level of confusion, that Neptune in Pisces confusion that Saturn's working so hard to address. Let's look at, there are going to be two very important questions before SCOTUS. I've read on them before. I'm going to do an update. I'm going to check on them again. The former president, he's brought a appeal forward, or a matter before the Supreme Court. They've said they're going to hear it, that as president, when he was president, that he is immune from prosecution. And that, of course, for those that are not understanding the importance of this question, this is, if this were to be the case, then the current president of the US would say he could murder someone and get immunity because he was president. He could say, I'm staying in office. I'm not accepting the election results. And he would get away with it because he's got immunity. You see the distinction here. Let's look at immunity, and then the 14th Amendment, which I've read on before, very tricky. I did say the Supreme Court would hear it. I did predict that Colorado the Colorado Supreme Court would find that he couldn't be on the ballot. Five of Swords. Okay, so Five of Swords it's about sabotage. So let's look firstly at the immunity question. I then want to go to South Africa's case around alleging that Israel has committed genocide in Gaza. Remember the rules of war. The rules of war are all about proportionality. So, for example, say Hamas is in a building and there are, 500 families living in that building. This is about yes, you can take out Hamas, but you can't kill 500 innocent people. And times that by 22,000 civilians have been killed. Most of them, 60% was the last figure, that's probably higher now, were women and children. Okay, I know there are wars happening around the world. I know Ukraine, I read on Ukraine all the time. I know that there are indiscriminate bombings. I know that Putin hasn't been held account yet. But remember this, karma is real. Okay, the figures in Gaza are off the charts. Off the charts. Okay, so let's go to, so they're the three things I want to read on. Let's look at Trump's SCOTUS immunity. Remembering it's about people power, we can have these dialogues now in a civil society. We can say that what happened on January 6th was wrong. I can say that to you. You can say it was right, but the majority feel it was wrong. No, it was wrong. We can say that Netanyahu was justified in killing 22,000 innocent people, starving, oppressing them. We can say that because of what Hamas did to 12 or 1,400 Israelis, brutally murdering them, raping them. We can say he was justified to do that, but the international rules of war say he was not. All right, let's see. We can talk about that without accusations. All right, Trump's SCOTUS immunity. All right. Let's go right into this immunity question. Venus and Sagittarius, interesting, is what I'm seeing in that chart. I'm actually seeing, remember Sagittarius is about truth, the law, and the homeland as well. Venus being relationships. And this is interesting because I don't know how it might come up, but there's a relationship that the president has with the people. I just want to put that out there. And a relationship to protecting them. All right, so the oath of office. All right, the oath of office. All right, so let's go with the immunity question. Is the president, will SCOTUS find Trump, former president of the US, is immune from any and all prosecution? Will they find that Trump is immune from any or all prosecution? Is he immune from prosecution? Okay, the King of Cups, maturity will. This is the King of Cups is a really benign energy. It's about wisdom prevailing. And we get the Queen of Cups, care. The Queen and the King of Cups, a male and a female SCOTUS on so-called right, will be instrumental here. Self-care, wisdom, these are good cards. There are also yes cards, but I haven't finished. The Empress, the Mother, abundance, again another major arcana, very strong. A season of time as well, the world, democracy. I'm getting higher ideals coming forward here. In the past, we have the Three of Swords, heartbreak and betrayal, literally split down the middle. Five of Wands in the sky. Not everybody's going to be see this as a unanimous. It's not going. I don't think it's going to be unanimous. But this is also division, polarity, partisanship, and we get the Wheel of Fortune in the immediate future. So the wheel turning. This is Jupiter energy. Think back to what I said about Jupiter and in the chart. The sun, full illumination. I don't see anything in these cards that talk about the president being able to commit any crime that he wants to. The Seven of Cups, the choices that we make, the choices Trump's choices will be very, very much highlighted on that day. The Seven of Wands in the hopes and fears, standing one's ground, defending oneself. And the outcome is the Ten of Pentacles, clarified by the Knight of Cups. So we get here, and then we get the Five of Swords, abuse, sabotage, and the Ace of Cups, new starts. Eight of Swords, restriction. And we get the King of Wands. Okay, so the Ten of Pentacles is about families, it's about legacies, it's about almost like the Constitution. It's what we've inherited. That's the outcome card. That's the card that we're looking at. And then we get the Knight of Cups. They're actually going to, I'm getting also this 14th Amendment here, but it's almost he had this role to play to protect others. Let's draw some clarifying. We get the Devil and the Three of Wands and the Three of Pentacles working together. Okay, so I do feel that it won't be, as bizarre as it is, it's not going to be, I don't feel it's going to be unanimous. I mean, I would have just rejected this out of hand. But there will be a male and a female on the other side who will actually vote against this. So can you clarify this? Will the Supreme Court find the president was immune from any and all charges? The Five of Swords, sabotaging, abuse of power, the Knight of Cups, seduction, the Ten of Pentacles, the Constitution, the Ace of Cups, emotions, restrictions, and stepping forward with strength. Will they find that he is immune? Show me this Ten of Pentacles, Knight of Cups, Five of Swords, Ace of Cups. So we get here the Five of Swords again. No, they're going to say he's in the Five of Cups. Thank you. Thank you. They will act to protect. And the Seven of Swords, deceit and lies. Oh, good God. The Chariot. February, I think they're early February. So I asked for clarification. Let's just bring the laptop down. Clarification. The Constitution, the Ten of Pentacles, the Knight of Cups, seduction and offer, abuse of power, and high levels of emotions and new starts. I asked for clarification on that because we also have the Five of Swords here, Five of Wands here, which is almost like incitement. They're going to have to make a comment on his role on January the 6th. And so I asked for clarification. We get the Five of Swords again coming up twice, abuse of power, sabotage. The Five of Cups, it talks about huge loss. It's almost like the minor arcana to the death card. And we get the Seven of Swords, deceit and deception and lies, the big lie. They're going to make comments in this case, obviously, about the insurrection. And I'm going to say that they're going to say he's abused his power. I don't think it's going to be unanimous. I'm surprised about that. There is a lot to obviously consider, but we've got a male and a female judge perhaps moving toward the other way to vote that he is not immune. No president is immune from power who abuses that power that the Constitution has given him. And the Nine of Cups and the Venus in Sagittarius in the 4th house speaks to me about the duty that presidents have to protect the citizens. Okay, that's how I see it. There's going to be some very strong words coming out of this decision, though not all unanimous. Interesting. Maybe, okay, it's complex, but it's certainly going to be unanimous. Certainly, it's going to be found that he is not immune when he abuses his power that the office has given him. Interesting, isn't it? All right, the 14th Amendment. that would bar Trump, saying he is ineligible. You all have seen my past readings where he's like just dropped, seems like he doesn't make it through to the final election. All right, I see Haley coming through. All right, so let's have a look at this 14th Amendment. And I predicted that maybe a year and a half ago when I saw the cards move and a woman come forward. Interesting the way this works. All right, so let's have a look at the 14th Amendment. Show me the 14th Amendment. Will they disqualify? Will they disqualify Trump from the ballot? Will the Supreme Court disqualify Trump from the ballot? It's a question of the Constitution, isn't it? So they did have to hear it. 6 of Pentacles, giving and receiving help, aiding and abetting in the past. Okay, that's interesting. All right, we have here the 7 of Pentacles. Well, this is the ability to, plan A doesn't work, plan B. This is ability to grow something when things are not, haven't germinated. So it's like almost like the minor arcana of the Magician card. We get the Queen of Cups in the past. Again, a lot of emphasis around these water signs. In the sky, we get consistency. So I think that they're ruling. I was thinking they might throw it back to the States. I don't know that they will. They need to come through with a consistent ruling. The Strength card is in the near future. And again, this ruling's not far away either. The Sun card, remember the Kazimis, the Pluto and the Sun conjunct, the King of Swords, logic, planning, strategy. These are good cards. The Ten of Swords in the hopes and fears. This is the ending of something. And we get the Two of Pentacles. Yeah, it's not a straightforward decision. It could go either way at this stage. They're weighing up the consequences of their rulings, but they will put the voter in the best light, and we get consistency. A lot of grounding earthy energies here, and the Empress, something coming to fruition in time, and we get the 9 of Pentacles. So 4 of Pentacles, holding back, standing one's ground. The 7 of Cups, illusion, can be hard to make the right choice and retreat and ill health. Think back to my astrology chart. Let's draw a clarifier. I knew this wasn't going to be an easy question here. 2 of Pentacles, juggling the needs, the interests of the voter, and providing consistency and something which will last into the future, will not be abused. Okay, the 2 of Pentacles. Will they disqualify Trump? Got 3 yeses and 1 maybe. Will they disqualify Trump from the ballot? Will they disqualify him? Whoa, I'm not taking all of those. That's too many. Will they disqualify Trump from the ballot? Temperance and moderation. Temperance and moderation, and the 4 of Swords, retreat. Ill health and new starts. Whoa, okay, I'm going to have to use, and the Empress again, something that comes to fruition in time. The Ace of Wands, new starts, the 9 of Swords, great deal of anxiety, and the 2 aces. 3 aces. 3 aces. Temperance, moderation. Will they? I've got, again, 3 yeses and 1 no. So this is, again, is not unanimous. Let me just go into my clairvoyance here. Okay, so what they're going to do, again, has to stand the test of time. Will they disqualify Trump? Show me clearly. Will they disqualify Trump? I'm going to say they're going to find that he participated, and as the president back then, perhaps led, could have stopped an insurrection and didn't. Not an easy decision, and there probably will be plenty of qualification, but I think they're going to say that he's not eligible. But there's going to be some caveats around it, obviously not unanimous. They're going to go for the middle way. They're going to go for moderation, temperance, healing, acting for the voter. Not easy decisions here. Okay, that's the way that I see it. Okay, one last. Why is this Two of Pentacles deciding which ship should come in? Not every ship can come in. Show me the Two of Pentacles. The Knight of Pentacles, consistency. Okay, they're going for consistency in time, consistency with the Constitution. So again, I'm just going to say that at this stage, it could go either way, but my intuition is leading toward disqualification, that the Constitution has to be consistently applied, not selectively applied. Okay, let's go to Netanyahu's government. And because I make that qualification, tens of thousands of Israelis are protesting against Netanyahu. They want him gone. They feel he has mishandled so many things. Okay, so let's have a look here. Will the South African case, will the International Court of Justice, let's shuffle these again. Will the International Court of Justice, will the International Court of Justice find Israel has committed genocide? We're not going to know this for, it's not going to be instantaneous. The case will play out. It will take some time. I'm seeing a portal here, and it's closing, almost like, oh, it's closed. Okay, the opportunity here, perhaps to change course, is gone. It's finished. Okay, so let's take a look here. It's like a wall. Okay, so will Netanyahu and his government be found guilty of genocide? Netanyahu and his government be found guilty of genocide. Interesting to see what the cards will say. The Emperor, control. The Two of Cups, the decisions that were made. The Two of Cups talks about relationships, partnerships. The King of Swords, this is not going to be a political decision. Please understand that this is a court of international law and evidence, and that is how they're going to rule. The Knight of Cups in the past, many, many opportunities to do things differently. In the sky, we get the Two of Pentacles yet again. This is the big shifts, the big questions that we're going to be facing in 2024. Do we want more of the same, or do we want something new? The Three of Pentacles, how many justices are on the International Court of Justice? Three of Pentacles working. That I think he's going to be found guilty, and I think there's going to need to be reparations. The Six of Wands. Imagine if there had been a different leader in Israel. Imagine that the preceding events of death and destruction on the West Bank and pushing. Imagine if there had not been extremists in power in Israel. Imagine a more centralist approach, an approach based on negotiation. The Six of Wands, we get victory. So far, all yes cards, except for the Two of Pentacles. The King of Pentacles, what's Netanyahu's star sign? I'm not sure. I do have his chart. It's okay, I'll look it up. Okay, we get the Page of Cups in the hopes and fears. Some kind of surprise event. We're going to be surprised. Okay, the Knight of Pentacles. It looks like the law will be applied consistently. That is yes. The High Priestess talks about secrets emerging during this case. And we get the Four of Cups here, 3 cups lost and 1 cup remaining. And then we get the 5 of Cups, again, loss. So the Nine of Pentacles, I will clarify here, in the 8 of Swords, restriction. The war crimes aren't just for the indiscriminate bombing and killing here. The war crimes will also be around deprivation of freedom and things like starvation and famine. Manifestation, you see Pluto into Aquarius. Manifestation, look at this. This is an extremely important case. Death and rebirth. I would like to see, again, Putin has already been charged, convicted in the international court for his kidnapping of hundreds of thousands of Ukrainian children, kidnapping them, taking them to Russia. He's already been convicted of that. I'd like to see him convicted of war crimes in Ukraine, more war crimes. Okay, so this is going to be deprivation and of freedom and liberty and starvation. You're going to hear more about that as well. Secrets will emerge again. Huge revelations coming through this year. Show me this Knight of Pentacles, consistency of the law. Is this a conviction for Netanyahu and his government? The Hermit card is very, very isolated. And we get temperance and moderation. Thank you. That's very much a healing card. And the Four of Swords, death, retreat, and the Fool. You will see Netanyahu pulling out a lot of Gaza. He's already doing that, redistributing his troops, changing. As I said, Biden has been working quietly in the background here. I think the shock of the first attack, everyone expected a war. Everyone expected Hamas to be rooted as Hamas, who participated in acts of terrorism, to be rooted out and put on trial for what they did, as much as the other side also having to answer for any crimes that they've committed. And I think in the shock of the first attack, it wasn't clear. Although for me, it was clear what Netanyahu was going to do, because he's done it before. He will always act in his own self-interest. As far as I'm concerned, Netanyahu is no different from Putin, and the world would be a much better place if those two were brought to justice for the crimes that they've committed. And they indeed will, if not in this life, but in the next. All right, thanks for tuning in. No, I think I'll leave that there. I think I've covered broadly what I wanted to cover. Thanks for tuning in and sticking with me. This has been a deep dive, Pluto into Aquarius. Expect change, expect and allow for dialogue where there's courtesy. And I do want to say to anyone who's thinking, all of you, 98, 99.5% of you are so beautiful in your comments. I just love them. And then you'll get the troll floating by who will ignore the be courteous stuff and will come across with an accusation and a slur. And yeah, because they're triggered. I understand that you're triggered. But I can tell you right now that your life will improve immeasurably if you just move on. This channel is not for you. But, all right. Thank you for tuning in for the 99.5%, 99.5, something odd, 0.9% of viewers who are here because they resonate with me. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm hopeful that that you will you'll get what you want on this channel. But for those who are triggered, this isn't the channel for you. So just quietly move on. I respect your decision to do that. In fact, I encourage your decision to do that. And please take your megaphones and find the channels that are right for you and scream your points of view from the hilltops. but please do it wherever you do go, very politely, because trolling is not allowed on this channel. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Have a wonderful week. During this time in January, I'm not sticking to any particular schedule. I'm not fully back at my pre-Christmas schedule. I won't be right through January. I'm going to do things slowly, but I will give you at least one reading a week, and in January, and then by February I will hopefully be more rested, and I can at least hop back in the saddle and do more. But for now, I'm semi-retired. I'm semi-vacationing. All right, bye for now. See you soon.